Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. last sermon. It's on YouTube. I'm not going to play it. I'm going to give you a summary, notes from this, and background. Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka. Most people don't know that there is a Brown 2. Like, they only understand Brown 1, Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka. But this is 1955. This is case law. This is what happened. The outcome. Dealt with the remedy for Brown 1. An example, how to make a plaintiff whole. Create a unitary school district. Desegregation must occur with all deliberate speed. Unsurprisingly, this ambiguous standard was basically unenforceable. Defendant school boards simply refused to implement adequate remedies to segregation. So this is in 1955. So Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke, this is from the YouTube, spoke on April 3rd, 1968. That's when this video was taken at the Mason Temple Church of God in Christ headquarters in Memphis, Tennessee. On the following day, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. So on April 4th. So before this speech, we have Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that was passed. We have the Elementary Secondary Education Act of 19. These are all laws. This deals with civil rights. Deals with the improvement of education, but educational civil rights. Okay, so in the video at the very start, always say to America, be true to what you said on paper. Now the paper is Constitution. On the paper is the laws that was enacted. So this is in 1968. Then he says, totalitarian country. We're not a totalitarian country. And because you could expect that over there. But we're the United States, and we have all these laws. We should not be acting this way of preventing people. And then at 56 seconds, the greatness of America is the right to protest for rights. Protest can be many things, but making a formal report against wrongdoing, violations, is protesting as well. It's a right. So summary of Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s last sermon. In summary of the time and day of the last sermon, there was law that was passed, and we see on April 3rd, 1968, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. still was speaking on the very issue that was enacted into law. The reason he was still talking on this was that the actions of harm continued. Violations of civil rights. In fact, we all hear about the fact that a famous court case that identified segregation was illegal, but it was still going on, and it was because of the language in the decision. The organizational general counsel used the language to prevent segregation from stopping. Most individuals think it was not happening. It is essential that individuals that are being harmed need to keep it at the organizational level following the chain of command, and have the top of the chain of command make a final decision with all the evidence to show how the harm happened. It is illegal for the organizational general counsel to tell the organization's top of the chain of command to be silent, or to interfere, or to intimidate at all. There's so many things. But the individual does not understand this, making the very actions disappear in the settlement, or the fact that the General Counsel actually makes a lot of money on both sides and is successfully harming. So Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. realized this and continued to speak till he was silenced, which was the very next